Business and immigration law will now color the screen. This is a proud presentation of attorney and counselor at law, Mr. Ramesh Khurana of the Khurana Law Firm. Our moderator here is attorney Kenneth Haber from Boyd's, Maryland. This week, this attorney questions attorney Khurana on marriage-based green card and its related issues. Let's join these two attorneys in their legal dialogue.
Welcome. My name is Kenneth Haber. I'm a former Assistant United States Attorney and also a former Senior Attorney from the Office of Inspector General of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. We're here today in the studio with Ramesh Khurana. Ramesh is a very knowledgeable immigration attorney. He's here to answer some tough questions concerning immigration, and this is the Capital Forum. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate your very nice introduction.
Well, it's all deserved.
I'm grateful to you.
Well, I'm grateful that you're here.
Now you have to prove. Now, in fact, I have to prove by answering appropriately to your questions.
Well, we have some tough ones today.
That this come.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. The United States Custom and Immigration Service, they're the ones who do the interviews concerning U.S. citizenship. Is that not correct?
Yeah, in fact, USCIS. Yeah, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, because Customs and Border Protection Force, which we call CBP, they are the ones who welcome us at U.S. borders when we come to the United States. But in regard to adjudication of benefit applications, the federal agency is USCIS.
USCIS.
Yeah.
Good to remember.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I had to go there when I sought to have my beautiful bride become a U.S. citizen, and we went through an interview. Is that a required thing to have an interview?
If any waiver was possible, knowing your status very well, like you are a former Assistant U.S. Attorney and a Senior Attorney in the Office of Inspector General, I'm pretty sure, because there's a lot of credibility and other issues here, they would have waived your interview or your wife's interview.
They didn't.
So then you can very well guess that when we come to the interview for the purpose of green card, I have never seen in my practice that it is waived.
Well, they did cut it short.
Yeah, it's definitely cut short in certain situations.
Well, we got into an argument, and the immigration lady said, "Time out, time out." Said, "No one is a fake going to come here and have an argument."
Believe me, I have given your example to my other clients. You know, when I start coaching people for the interview, I say that I remember one case, my attorney friend, he went with his wife and they started arguing, and officer said, "No more interview process, it's over." And the message was that if you are having genuine arguments, real husband and wife only can have those kinds of arguments, not the fake ones. So it's not a sham marriage.
No.
Yeah, it's a
13
bona
years
fide.
yeah,
It's a bona
bona
fide
fide
marriage.
fight.
It's not a sham marriage.
13 years later,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
still married.
So, you know, in summary, the interview for the purpose of green card is never waived, because the officer will look into the eyes of the petitioner, who is a U.S. citizen, and the beneficiary, who is the applicant for the green card. And by looking into the eyes and asking questions, the officer will make a determination whether it's a bona fide marriage or not. And we can't blame USCIS, because so many sham marriages are taking place. There are so many people out there who are abusing the system, and they will just marry for the benefit of immigration issues of their so-called spouses. So it happens. It happens. So that's why this is the part of the elimination process.
Well,
like you interview people and find out whether all those documents which have been submitted to support the petitions are valid or look to be valid, and these are corroborated by the interview process. So it's not waived.
There was a movie called The Proposal,
Uh-huh.
and it was with Ryan Reynolds and a very famous actress whose name eludes me at the moment. And she was an executive in a publishing house, and she was going to be deported, and they decided to get married so that she can stay on. And it was, a very big thing concerning all the things that had to go through. And what are some of those things that the immigration people do in order to sort through and determine who is and who is not legitimate?
Yeah. First of all, this vetting process is based on the documentation which is submitted to USCIS as part of the application package. So that's why when a client comes to me, I want to make sure that I am submitting multiple documentation to support that petition. Let us say that there is a requirement that husband and wife should co-mingle their assets. Now, you can do it by just providing one bank statement and nothing else. You will say, oh, they are co-mingled. What I will try to do, I will say, okay, from the date of marriage, when you set up your account, or even before marriage, if you are having a joint account, give me the bank statement for that particular month. And then going forward, depending on how much period has gone while they got married, so I provide at random 5 or 6 bank statements. Likewise, I will say, if your credit card statements, give me those statements as well. And if they have been filing joint tax return, now that's a very good evidence that they are husband and wife. And so always try to provide multiple evidence. And when a person marries a US citizen, and if that person has committed certain mistakes in the past, now there is a waiver available. So you can apply for waivers based on the fact that if this person who has committed a mistake and now he has married a US citizen, this would cause extreme hardship to the US citizen spouse. So there is a process, you have to go through it. So before I would accept any case, I will be vetting it thoroughly to make sure that I can really help this person. So as you evaluate your case, when a doctor comes to you, he is in trouble, so you want to make sure that this is a winning case, or otherwise you will be fully disclosing like your winning chances are very dim, but if you want me to try, this is the best shot I can give.
Yeah. What are some of those indications that immigration is looking for, other than the paperwork? I mean, like when they're interviewing people, what are some of the questions they ask that
Sure.
somebody like you would know?
Yeah. We call them as red flags.
Yeah, red flags.
Red flags. Now, let us say a husband who is a United States citizen, he has gotten married a foreign national, and the age difference is 30 years.
He's lucky, maybe.
Maybe he is lucky, but immigration definitely takes it as a red flag. It happened with me just last week.
Really?
Yeah, I was representing a client where the age difference between husband and wife is 30 years. Believe me, of course, we documented very heavily, and it got approved on the same day.
Very good.
And this question was asked by the officer that, how did you decide to get married? And the officer even asked the applicant, who was the wife, do you know the age of your husband's oldest child? And she said yes, because she was fully trained, and moreover, she is part of the family, she knows. So this was a real marriage, main
Right.
thing is. Because this interview is to make sure that this is a real marriage, not a sham marriage. Now they are not challenging the decisions of the people. If the wife is okay with a 30-year older husband, it's not a problem to immigration. If this is a genuine marriage, and this is not for the purpose of immigration benefit, that's the key. Now, what is the job of the officer who's interviewing people? Like you asked me this question, like whether interview can be waived, because she's trying to make a determination to her best possible satisfaction whether this is a real marriage or not. So, They look at the body language, they look into, like, if you start arguing. They look at answers to questions, and sometimes, Ken, sometimes on a randomly selection basis, they will interview them separately. They will ask the husband to come in first, or wife to come in first. Of course, if you are representing that couple, you will be allowed to sit with both the wife and husband separately.
I'm sure they're going to tell you to keep your mouth shut.
Of course. Because the job of the lawyer is, I always tell my clients when they request us, I would like you to accompany me to the interview. I will say, look, my job is not to answer questions on your behalf. If they are asking you what is your wife's date of birth, it is only you who is going to answer. And if they ask you what is your marriage anniversary date, or what is the most preferred food of your spouse, you are going to answer. But my role is to argue on the legal issues if these come up. Let us say that officer starts challenging that this birth certificate which you have provided is not correct. So, because I have basically processed that application and I know what I have done, and I am confident that I have done the necessary work to support it. So, I would say, look at this exhibit which is part of this petition. I have documented this thing. If a person has got 3 or 4 different variations in the names, it happens in case of foreign nationals. Sometimes they are using the village name in between, they are using the father middle name or last name is first, all those kinds of things do happen. Because the question is, you have to disclose all these names. When FBI would check the background from criminal angle, if you are given all the names, when they check the name check background, they will be using all those names. They are entitled to do it, right?
Right.
So, that is why disclose all the names. So, this was the question in that interview. So, I had basically prepared some affidavits which were signed by the people with personal knowledge that this person was using different names. So, once you jump into it and explain to it, all those questions are answered from legal angle, officer is happy, client is happy, and it gets approved.
Very, very good.
So, when you are talking about the red flags, other thing is education level. Let us say a person is holding a master degree and other person is just high school pass. So, it is a question of mental level dissimilarity. So, this is kind of disparity, and there could be an economic disparity. A person is holding the managerial position of a big corporation and the other spouse, probably that spouse is working at the sport level. It happens, but that is a red flag. A person is making 150,000, other person is just making 25,000. There is a lot of disparity in the income level. So, they have got every right to probe this issue and eliminate of any kind of fraudulent intent here.
Right. That's
likewise,
very important.
Likewise, cultural issue, ethnic background. One person is, let us say, from India and the other person is from Mexico. It's happening, these kinds of marriages do happen, but they want to make sure. If the lady just speaks Spanish, she cannot speak Indian language or English. Now the question is, how are you communicating, right?
Love.
Yeah, just love language, right?
Love language.
But they understand that love language very well. So, I think that will be a very difficult situation if you cannot communicate in the same language. I do not know. I have never come across this situation where a couple is unable to communicate with each other, but I am sure if that kind of situation is there, this is a good case to be denied. So, these are all red flags, Ken.
Yes.
All red flags.
They're very much the type of red flags one would look for in any sort of investigation when you're trying to...
You have been an investigator, you know that.
Yes. When you're trying to
Being
sort
a federal
things.
investigator, you have gone through the process. Again, here, immigration field is also basically supervised by federal investigators. If they need to investigate it further, they will. Sometimes these immigration officers from USCIS or the fraud detection department, they are sitting in front of their homes just to see whether the wife is really living here or not.
Very good.
Yeah,
Protects us.
yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you because of the fact that this has been very illuminating, I'm sure, for our viewing audience, and gives them some insight of how detailed these type of probes can go, and that it's best to do things legitimately instead of trying to manipulate things.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate. I have really enjoyed this session.
I have too.
You know, whenever we come to the defense of marriage, it's a very important area of any immigration practice. So great. Thank you.
Thank you.